Balls. That's I guess another buddy tale. Everybody, we would always get Balls energy drink for lands.
So stupid.
What the fucking
Balls?
Name? Yeah. I don't know why it was named that. Because all of the people at a LAN are like the biggest geeks ever. So I don't know why they named it Balls. They should have named it Nerd or Puss. But or like
you suck the drink.
Yeah. You suck at the drink. Yahoo! We are live.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I think we need to move the camera a little bit.
Another episode.
Off to the races. And I'm moving it the wrong way. Okay. Are you okay? Okay. Well, we've got a wonderful view of the fan in the back, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Mickey D style. So how are you this week?
Pretty good.
Good.
How about you?
Pretty good. Still trucking, still here, still alive.
Yeah.
As we thrive. And this is episode 61 of the Buddy Shots podcast, and we're going to be talking about A Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
Nominated by one of the Buddy boys, Addy. And
maybe telling some buddy tales.
Sure. And Ark II. Not the video game that's going to be coming out, which is if you search for Ark II, that's like the first thing that comes up. But you have to put in like Ark II TV show, and then it comes up. So we will be talking about that. But before we get into any of that, let's go to our first segment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Nerd News.
Nerd News.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Has it been a good week for nerd news?
I don't know. I guess we'll let the audience decide.
Mine's pretty light.
Yeah.
But it's just something I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
I thought it was cool.
Go ahead. You seem excited.
So Nicolas Cage won an award for Pig from the Hollywood Critics Association.
Yeah.
And he made a speech that was really good and like pretty like positive.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably worth searching out. But he pretty much just talked about how much he loves like movies and acting in movies.
Right.
And but the news is at the end of the speech he said, "I'm 58 years old, but I feel like I'm just getting started." I'm like, yes.
Then he's gonna get hit by a truck, die probably.
So
I'm just getting started.
He's in his prime.
I'm 58 years old and I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
I'm like,
can you imagine?
Like, why would you have to announce that? Guys, I'm 58 and I'm just getting started.
I was like,
I feel like he's been in some good stuff in the past, but it's like now that he kind of just does what he wants to do, he definitely seems like what's it called, like shackled.
Yeah,
he kind of wants, which is nice. I mean, I wish like more actors were able to do that or like could do that, because I wish they were able or could.
Yeah,
because it's like that's when I think you see a lot of actors kind of like do their best stuff. It's kind of like they get to be themselves more.
It's funny because it's kind of a similar situation. Like Nick Cage, he's my favorite actor, but he does it for the money. But he also loves acting, which is the opposite of Bruce Willis. He does it for the money.
He does it for the money, and he hates acting.
You can tell he hates every minute of it.
Well, I would probably hate it too if like all the movies I were in were shit. But at the same time, that's his bed that he's fucking made. So
did you watch the Red Letter Media thing on him?
No, I haven't watched
it's
it
shocking.
Yet.
It's like you won't believe what he's done.
I'm not shocked at all because I've seen before that came out, like years before that, people were making YouTube videos on how all he does is like China shell movies and like all these horrible.
But not only that, like
movies.
he'll only film for like one day.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
so they have to
cut around it and like yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like he's not even on set with most of his co-stars,
right? Or
any of them. Like if there's a scene where he's like in a scene with somebody, it's because the person was probably a minor character and they were on set that day.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like if you like, it's kind of like the Steven Seagal movie with Mike Tyson, where like they were in the same movie but they were never in the same scene because Steven Seagal was probably I think he was only on set for like 5 seconds, so it was like they literally had him fight a double the whole time, so Mike Tyson had to do the same thing, and it was like, dude,
it's so bad.
Yeah. It's like the epitome of like, that's the thing though, is like, yeah, I mean, obviously you get paid, like Nick Cage gets paid, but if he really wanted money, he could be doing like Bruce Campbell shit, Bruce Willis stuff, or like Tom Cruise, or like, not like Tom Cruise is doing it just for the money, but he's making movies that make more money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he's been making a lot of movies that get critical acclaim, like Nick Cage, but not that pull in the money as much. I mean, I'm sure they're profitable, but they're not like Mission Impossible or like, that kind of shit. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Bruce Willis, sad to see him doing this shit. It's like
disgraceful.
Yeah, well, I remember like that whole thing started way back in the day. I remember probably even before this, but the first time I can remember it is hearing stuff of on the set of Expendables where he was like, I won't even like get off my driveway for like less than like millions of dollars, like Bill Murray style. And it's like, okay, you can kind of tell this guy he just likes the money. Like, so.
Yeah, I watched Unbreakable again recently because I hadn't seen it in forever, and I was like, Bruce, what happened to you, man?
Yeah.
He used to be so good. Like, he's amazing in that movie.
Hey, drummers in the house.
You either live long enough to become the hero, or see yourself become the villain? No.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Shout out to Batman with Heath Ledger. A tie-in to tonight's
Shout out to Bad
Creature
Dance,
feature.
Starring Prince.
Shout out to A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger. Well, not really a shout out, but that's what we watched. So I guess like they've done stuff recently where they're going to be, a lot of theaters are thinking about doing like changes to pricing. Kind of like, I guess like other countries have done this before, and like America is kind of like one of the last countries to do this or considering it. And I guess AMC just talked about this, and like I guess George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were like quoted recently as being like, we kind of saw this happening back in like 2013 and stuff. Like, really? And I'm like, I don't know if I really have a problem with it, because like with matinees you pay less during a certain time. Maybe if things are in demand, if they want to charge more, if it's whatever. I don't know. I know that like movie theaters, like the people working there really make money if you're like buying the food. That's why whenever I go, I usually buy snacks and stuff, because they make jack shit on the like, it's like when you
those Hollywood fat cats.
Yeah, it's like it's like a retailer. Like they make no money on the consoles, but they make all their money up in like games and accessories and stuff.
Yeah.
But like because that's what they can kind of get more of a profit on. But like my thing is like, I mean, we're coming out of like, well, as far as we know, a pandemic to a degree. I mean, we'll see how things go, but like, I don't know if this is exactly the right time to be starting this model when people are just now kind of starting to go back to theaters. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I'm pretty lazy, so I'm still happy with them doing the thing where they're like, it's on HBO Max as well, which is I think what they're doing with like the Batman, where like that's going to be in theaters, and then like, a little bit later it's going to be on HBO Max. To me, I feel like that's a good idea though, because it's like Bill and Ted, like they probably made more money by releasing it to have people buy it than if they were to like hopefully get people to go into theaters, for especially during a pandemic and for the nostalgia factor. It's kind of like, but it's like HBO Max, they were able to like get a ton of like sales, as far as like people subscribing to their service. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on like them changing the prices on tickets? I know they're pretty expensive to a degree.
I'm not
sometimes.
surprised. I mean, it's all about the dollar.
Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yep.
I don't know. That's the thing, is like, I don't know if, I know I've heard things that like they haven't increased like the dollar of like video game prices until recently. So like they should be way more, but that's kind of a different subject because every game has DLC, so they kind of have in a way. Every game has like DLC and microtransactions, so you can't really argue that like they haven't changed the prices, because it's like, well, they have, you just haven't really seen it. But as far as movies go, I don't really know. I haven't really, with inflation, like, should tickets cost more? Like, I don't know. I guess everybody's always like, I don't really like paying more, but at the same time, for me, movies are a very special occasion. Like, I can't remember the last time we went, like, when was the last time we went to a theater and saw a film together?
It was Pig, starring Nicolas Cage.
which is like, it's not sad because that was a good film, but it's sad because I feel like we probably used to see more films in theaters. But, oh well. This isn't a, diatribe
Back
on
in my
movie
day,
theaters.
movies cost a nickel.
That would be legit. I don't think I've ever seen a movie cost that much. How old are you? Are you a ghoul?
You got me.
I did. But, yeah. But that's pretty much it. I mean, the other one was a fucking thing about The Crow, and it's like, the reboot of The Crow is getting a new director and cast. And I was like, no announcement, really. It's just, it will be announced soon. It's like, that's not even an article. That's just like, no crap. Like, who cares, dude? So, now that we've got all that out of the way.
It's kind of like that news I announced about the Face Off sequel. There's been nothing since then.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally dead. We've been hearing about that Crow reboot for how many years now?
Well, that's like, that's the thing with news, is it's like, especially when it's speculative, a lot of this stuff is like, especially with like the movie industry, things can be greenlight, and then like they get a change of like people in charge, and it's like dead because the guy comes in and just kills all the projects that were in.
Yep.
So it's like you never know what's going on. I'm like, you never know what's going on. You better watch your ass.
Sorry, James.
So do we have any buddy tales this week?
I do.
Okay.
But it's based off of it's based
on a book.
Yeah, it's based on a novel by me.
What's the novel?
It's based around
novella.
A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale, not a buddy's tale.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to save this for later once we've talked about the movie, or do you want to talk about it now?
Let's talk about it now.
Okay.
Because it's important. And this
it's important.
It is. This buddy tale actually has a moral to it.
The other ones,
and it has a character arc.
Yeah. So far, the other buddy tales haven't. Well, unless every single buddy tale is Mike's an idiot. That's the moral.
The moral of the last one is I like monster trucks.
And
not much to it.
I wear earplugs and I'm a puss. And the first one was that I'm an idiot because I said that R.L. Stine wrote.
No, that was hilarious.
That was a troll. Yeah. I was the OG LOTR troll.
So this buddy tale takes place back in 2001.
Actually, before you say this, I didn't even check to see if... 2001. Okay, thank God. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I just thought of that and I was like, dude, this would suck. We haven't lost that episode yet.
Yeah.
Jinx. There's no wood to knock on. Anyway, go ahead.
So we were about to graduate.
2001, you said?
Yeah, we were seniors in high school back when this movie came out, and I had like senioritis big time. I'm not sure how you felt, but like.
Oh no, I was loving school, man. That's why I almost got kicked out for attendance.
Yeah, I was just like, at that point, I was so over it, like, just pretty much done. And I was in the AP English class. Brag. Not really.
AP English.
But it was funny how it worked out because just randomly it was all girls in that class except for me and our friend Mark.
You're like harem. I'm like.
So it kind of created a weird atmosphere where it was like kind of segregated in the two groups.
It was literally just like you and Mark and all the other girls.
Right.
You were like in a corner.
Me and Mark were like smug jerks who like thought we were too cool for school and just like didn't take anything seriously and like made fun of everyone all the time. And also it was Orndorff's class. Who's like, he's a legendary teacher, but this was his last semester before retirement, so like he didn't care at all either. He was totally checked out. And
Orndorff.
So that's the setup.
The setup.
And I remember I turned in the same book report twice, and I got an A both times because like he just didn't care.
He didn't read them.
Yeah.
He's like, this looks thick enough. That's fine.
So it was May of 2001 when A Knight's Tale came out. And the day, like the Monday after that weekend, like all the girls in this class had seen A Knight's Tale and were like loving it. They were like, couldn't stop talking about it, talking to Orndorff, like, it was so amazing, you got to see it. Like, it has this pop music soundtrack in it, and it's like so artistic. And there was like, at the end, he was like, had his arms out like Christ.
What the fuck?
Which he does.
Does he?
Yeah, remember when they have him tied to that thing when he's like imprisoned?
Well, that's like not at the end of the movie. That's like...
Well, yeah, but just...
I was like, crying, what?
Just stuff like that. And like, when I was hearing this, all I was thinking in my mind was like, this sounds like the dumbest movie, like the dumbest chick flick. I will never watch this movie because I'm above...
Surprise!
So like, I've always thought about that, and I've never seen the movie, so I faced a dilemma last week when this movie got picked. And then I was thinking about it, and like, I realized that I was the jerk. Like, they were cool for being excited about a movie that they liked, and I was a jerk for like dismissing it.
For being a hater.
Yeah. And I was just thinking that in my head.
Is this another subtle nod to me?
No.
I'm a hater?
No. But the moral, I think, is it's be excited about stuff you like.
That's true.
And find positive things even in like light entertainment like A Knight's Tale.
I thought you were going to say in death. So.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that. Yeah. I think that's something that I need to work on personally myself, because I think a lot of times I'll see something that's coming out and I'll be like, dude, that looks so freaking stupid. Or I'll be like, anybody that likes this is an idiot. And then I'm like, I'm sure there are people out there that think that about stuff that I like. So whatever.
Like what you like and be proud of it.
This is a more enlightened podcast.
Yeah. Starting now. We're learning.
AKA, this is going to be the most boring fucking podcast ever. If all we did was kiss ass and chew bubble gum. Yeah, that's a pretty good tale, especially because it has a moral, like you said. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that, I guess, because...
Yeah, seems like a long time.
I remember he used to have a coffee cup he never washed.
Yeah.
Mr. Orndorff.
And he also,
Didn't he say somebody washed it once and he got pissed or something?
He drank pop out of this cup every day, and he never washed it, so it had a film of, like, gross sugar crap in there that had been built up for who knows how long. And then one day, one of the girls washed it, and he was furious. Like, how could you do this?
It's like, it's not like a cast iron skillet where if you, like, wash it with soap and water and get all the, stuff out, it like, can ruin it. It's
or a
like,
pipe where you build up, like, the cake of tobacco. It's like, it's a nasty, disgusting, bacteria-filled mug. There's also the rumor that he drove that car backwards across the country. Did you hear about that? You hear about that?
What?
He had a car that was engineered so the driver would be facing backwards, and there were mirrors so he could see where he was going, and he drove it across the whole country. That's dubious.
Yeah, especially because I've never heard anything about this, so this sounds like a high school legend, not like... Because I'm pretty sure that would have been
But
mentioned.
Who would even make that up? Like, it's too strange
because, like, people say stupid shit like that in high school all the time. I remember, like, people used to be like, if you drink, like, Mountain Dew, your balls will fall off. And I'd be like, what? You know what I mean? Like, stupid stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm over here, like, banging the juice and doing roids, and my balls are shriveling off, but it was Mountain Dew.
Speaking of Balls energy drink will give you kidney stones.
Yeah, I mean that and like Diet Coke or anything with like fake sugar and stuff in it. Like, I think just dark. I think from what it is, it's dark drinks. So like dark that and like energy drinks too, like dark cola and stuff like that. I don't know what it is in there, but yeah, Balls. Yeah, that's I guess another buddy tale. Everybody we would always get Balls energy drink for Lands.
So stupid.
What the fucking name?
Balls?
Yeah. I don't know why it was named that, because all of the people at a LAN are like the biggest geeks ever, so I don't know why they named it Balls. They should have named it Nerd or Puss. But or like,
you suck the drink.
Yeah. You suck at the drink. Yahoo! Okay, so this is our most like off tangent podcast I think we've ever done. Literally, we're just talking about nothing and everything, but that's okay. So, are you ready to move on to your pick for Weird Watches this week?
Yeah. Ark II.
That pretty much sums up the whole thing right there. Your intro. Ark II. So,
I actually kind of liked it.
How'd you come about this?
I don't know. I heard it mentioned somewhere.
You're like, we're running a contest to see who can come up with the most obscure thing, and you're beating the shit out of me so far. Like,
I heard it mentioned somewhere, and I was like, I've never even heard of that. And I looked it up, and I was like, that looks kind of.
I'm shocked that like your dad hadn't said anything about this, because it seems like maybe something that came around that time.
Yeah, maybe. But it was only aired for like 7 episodes or something like that. Like it barely.
It was
one season.
Yeah, one season. Yeah, I mean, I guess spoiler, like, I didn't hate it either. It was just. But anyway, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say like what it says here about this. Like, this came out. It's a live-action science fiction series aimed at children that aired on CBS from September 11th. To December 18th, 1976. Oh, okay. With reruns continuing through November, I know, right? Through November 77, and then returning on 78. As part of its weekend lineup, only 15 half-hour episodes were ever produced. The program's central characters were created by Martin Roth. Ted Post helped Roth develop its core format. I don't know who the hell those people are, but the show has a monkey in it that talks.
That was great.
It's not like Lancelot Link. It's like, it's got a weird like robot voice. Mm-hmm. He's like, I beat you again. I'm like, what? But
it's a cool premise for a show.
It is, yeah. It's
post-apocalyptic.
I think like it was one of those things where it's kind of like a lot of these shows, well, I don't know. I won't really say My Mother the Car, but like a lot of these shows where it's like they have kind of an interesting premise. It's just, I think for this show, especially with it being sci-fi, they didn't have the money to really execute it as well as it could have been. Because if this came back like now and it was, I feel like this could be executed way better, and this could be like a show that would actually be really popular.
Yeah.
Because this is essentially like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, Mad Max, Walking Dead kind of thing. But it's cool because it's like, there are different, like even in this first episode, you see like there's like a clan of like all these children that like the doctor from what's it called, Lost in Space, like that plays like the Irish like magician
Fagin.
That's like their like essentially like their dad.
He was hamming it up to 11.
That was a ridiculous Irish Scottish accent. But they've got that faction, and then they've got like a faction of like these like road warriors guys essentially that are like, I don't know how you would describe them, post-apocalyptic, generic, for some reason they've outfitted themselves with chains and stuff instead of finding clothes, but that kind of stuff. So
I thought the Ark was cool. It reminded me of when I was a little kid. I would like draw vehicles like that. Like,
right. It's really
like
long.
Massive houses.
Yeah, it's like a super long. Well, it's not like super long. It's not like a 50-foot car, but like it's like it definitely was something that like the Batman car or like the Munsters car that was like made specifically for this show. So like they took like a couple of cars or whatever they did and just kind of put them together, but it looks really good. But like they go inside there and it's got like all the stuff they need to like test stuff because they're like all scientists. But the intro for this, because they have like an intro where they talk about what the show's about essentially. For millions of years, Earth was fertile and rich. Then pollution and waste began to take their toll. Civilization fell into ruin. This is the world of the 25th century. Only a handful of scientists remain. Men who have vowed to rebuild what has been destroyed. This is their achievement. Ark II, a mobile storehouse of scientific knowledge, manned by a highly trained crew of young people. Their mission, to bring the hope of a new future to mankind. And then it's like, the main character, Jonah, is like, Ark II log, entry number 1. I, Jonah, Ruth, Samuel, and Adam are fully aware of the dangers we face as we venture into unknown, maybe even hostile areas. But we're determined to bring the promise of a new civilization to our people and our planet. So, Jonah's like the main dude. Then there's like Ruth, which is like a woman scientist, like, and then there's like a kid. And then Adam is the ape. And they never really explain like, at least in this first episode, they don't explain like why
he has the power
of speech or like is self-aware.
Yeah.
Because they say here that like they're fully aware of the dangers they face, and I'm like, okay, well I guess that also includes Adam unless they like kidnapped him and just like, but he seems to like know what the hell he's doing. Yeah. Like he helps and stuff. He's not just like there
valuable team member.
Yeah, like he distracts and he's like doing all this other stuff at one point, and I was just like, it's cool because a lot of times with like animals they'll just use him as like set dressing, but like they treat him as an equal in this show. In fact, he's like smarter than the kid because he beats him in like Star Trek 5D chess or whatever the hell they were playing. It was like a Star Trek Star Wars chess thing. So
there's some cool jetpack action.
Yeah, I actually had that James Bond style where it's like literally a super old jetpack, but it's cool. This is definitely a show that like I could see if it had been like really popular or had gotten more popular, like this would be like a toy making machine.
Yeah.
Like the car for sure, the jetpack, like just all the stuff they could have done with it. I mean, there might be. I've only seen the first episode, so I'm sure there's more stuff they introduce into the show. But I know that one dude comes back, Fagin.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's in 2 episodes, I guess. So I'm sure he comes back at some point, and it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, really, my only complaints are like the overall cheapness of it,
right? Yeah,
and the acting was like yikes.
What's his face was probably like the worst. Like
the main dude,
the main guy.
That's when you have a problem.
Yeah, it was like when we watched Manimal, and I was like, why is this guy the main character? Yeah. This guy sucks.
I know.
But also there was some pretty bad acting when they like test out the gas, and like I forget what I put here, but it was a note about how the acting was fucking Oscar worthy, aka it was horrible, because she was like, watches the gas destroy meat instantly in front of their eyes. Wow, is all that she says. She's like, wow, and I'm like, this acting is legit. Yeah, so there was a funny part where a kid grabs a tank and it literally just says poison gas on it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that like whenever you see something, it's like it'll say, like if you see like a canister of something, it will say what it is. Like, it would be like if it's oxygen, it'd be like or whatever it is, like whatever the symbol, and then like all that stuff. And of course, if it's like hazardous, it would have a thing on it, but it was just a label that said poison gas.
That's how you know.
And I was like, they would never label it just poison gas because there's no like, it doesn't say what it is. It just says poison gas. There's no like what's it called? Like,
it's poison.
Yeah, all in movie people wants is poison. But I agree with you. I think this is like one of those things where like, I don't know. I
would watch a few more episodes though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like it sucks because it's like you said, like the premise is there, but it's like cheap, and which sucks because it's like I said, I think it has a great idea going for it.
Maybe it'll get a legacy sequel.
I mean, I'm sure at some point this will, if they haven't already thought about it. I'm sure My Mother the Car's up next. My Mother the Car. It's like, she helps me in everything I do. It's like, what? No. It's like the opposite. She like fucks
that box set yet?
Fucks your life up. No, the only one so far that I'm like on the fence about is like getting the Kolchak box set, because that's the one that was like makes the quality way better, and it has like commentary in every single episode, whereas like I'm pretty sure most of these don't have any sort of, because they've been so generically.
I've been watching Yellowstone.
Oh, cool.
It's still horrific.
Is it? Never mind. I won't go into that. I'll just let you enjoy. So, you have anything else to say about Ark II? Not the video game starring Vin Diesel, but the show starring people that never did anything else again, probably. Not to shit on them, but...
You just did.
They're not blacked out yet, and they didn't get killed. So, what are we talking about this week, Matthew?
The Buddy Boy selection, Knight's Tale.
Make a selection. You're making me right.
That's a non-sequitur.
So, like, non-action makes you horny? It's like, what? We're talking about the James Bond, the Austin Powers
DVD
menu, where he's just doing all kinds of shit on the menu. And
we need more movies where like they record footage just for the DVD menus.
Well, they also had that thing where it was just literally you could put it on while you were having a party, and it was like the music would play and like all kinds of stuff. It was like the swingers background. It's like those are probably still some of the Kevin Smith, and those are in some of the like. I mean, obviously nowadays they have more DVDs that kind of go along the lines of adding more special features, but those are the ones that really stood out to me. Was like the Austin Powers ones have a ton of like special features, like more than a comedy should have. Like New Line put everything into that, and then like they've got commentary on every single one of those movies by Austin Powers, Mike Myers, and Jay Roach, and they've got all these deleted scenes, and like you said, like that stuff where it's like interactive menus, whereas like now it's like
interactive.
Yeah, you'll be lucky to get like a documentary on the making of Avengers 10. And it's like there's no behind the scenes hardly. There's no commentaries. It's like... Anyway, that's something that we bitch about all the time. But it is true.
You know what that makes me say?
Oh.
William! Why did he... I guess we'll get to that.
Why did he...
Why did he?
He said William. So officially... We're now talking about A Knight's Tale. So this came out in 2001, as Matt said. 2001. I think this was probably the biggest thing that happened that year, right?
Space Odyssey.
Yeah. Definitely nothing else happened. So this is a quasi-medieval adventure, comedy, romance film. Yep. It was written, produced, and directed by Brian Helgeland. Heath Ledger is in it. Shannyn Sossamon, Mark Addy, who was in like Game of Thrones, so he's like a big deal. Alan Tudyk, which he's always legit. I mean, Heath Ledger is cool too, but R.I.P. Rufus Sewell, Laura Fraser, Paul Bettany. How many fucking people are in this movie? James Purefoy. Oh yeah, this guy was the guy that played Colville. That was like the next. He's next in line to be the King of England, and he looked like Bettany or whatever from Life is Beautiful, like the guy that was like super. I was gonna say he's super jacked. He was not jacked. He's not ripped. He's just funny. Totally different things. So I'm like Mike Myers is fucking jacked.
I'm picturing Roberto Benigni like being jacked and beating the hell out of people.
Like when he like won the award and like walked over everybody at the Oscars. It's the greatest thing ever.
And he disappeared from this earth.
Yeah.
Never to be seen again.
He just turns into a Pinocchio. So like it's 15
into a Pinocchio. Oh my god, it's a Pinocchio.
He's like,
it's a freak.
It's like,
I think I heard a Pinocchio.
It's a damn puppet. So, its 14th century story is intentionally... Dude, fuck this. Let's just talk about the movie. Like, it's just all this crap about, like, deconstructing it. Okay, here we go. It follows a peasant named William Thatcher, a squire who poses as a knight and competes in tournaments, winning accolades and acquiring friendships with such historical figures as Edward the Black Prince, and Geoffrey Chaucer. The film takes its name from its Uncle James, from Chaucer's The Knight's Tale in his Canterbury Tales, with the movie drawing several plot points from Chaucer's work.
So that reminds me, that's one little part of the buddy tale I forgot about is that class was British literature.
Oh, Jesus.
So we read Chaucer, the Canterbury Tales. And like me and Mark, we still joke about this, but like we would just make fun of these British authors like Samuel Pepys.
Yeah.
And there's one Sir William of Orange, and I was like, what's next? Arthur of Grape? Like, what's with these names? Anyways, sorry.
How dare you talk? How dare you? So it received mixed reviews and grossed $117 million against a budget of $65. So regardless of mixed reviews, it made them money. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
You see what your boy Ebert said?
No, I didn't know. Did you?
He said
it wasn't me.
2 thumbs up.
Uh-huh. He was like, Batista style.
Did a frog splash.
He was like, oh. It's like, okay. So you can't really talk about this film without talking about the soundtrack. So I wanted to kind of like go over the tracks that were in this film, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
So we've got "We Will Rock You" by Queen, classic. "Lowrider," which was like, I was like, what,
dude? So I think that's like the thing of this movie.
Yeah,
like it's the medieval movie, but there's like rock songs in it.
Right.
So it's anachronistic or whatever. But I love the intro when they're playing "We Will Rock You." I was like, dude, this is sweet, and it reminded me of the first time I ever heard that song.
Mm-hmm.
My mind was blown. I was like, you can make a song like this?
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome. It's so good.
Before that, you were just in your little Fauntleroy clothes and like playing your violin, and then you heard it and you were like,
I'm like,
yeah. Which we'll get to that later on here in a bit. So "Taking Care of Business." So yeah. "Golden Years" by David Bowie. "Crazy on You" by Heart. "Further On Up the Road" by Eric Clapton. "Get Ready" by Rare Earth. "I Want to Take You Higher" Sly and the Family Stone. The classic "The Boys Are Back in Town."
They can retire that song forever for all I care.
Oh man, dude! It's
Go
like
it's
so,
such a cliche at this point. It's like, dude,
just in general, every single one of these like songs, they played almost in the entirety. It was like the editor had no say in the fucking film. It was like every piece of footage that was shot was in this film.
Is that why this movie's over 2 hours long when it should be like 80 minutes top?
Yeah, because there's like every single one of these has like essentially a montage, and it's the full song. It's like,
and you better like jousting because you're gonna see a lot of it in this.
That was probably the best part of the film, was like jousting and the people talking to each other, like the friends.
And we'll talk about jousting.
So, "One of Your Own" by Carter Burnell or Burnell. Shout out to Darkside Phil. "We Are the Champions" by Queen and Robbie Williams. "Pieces," and then "I Conquer" by Third Eye Blind. So,
what did you think of the use of those songs in this movie?
I mean, I thought it was fun. I mean, it was off. I think this is like one of the first times I've seen that done. I'm sure it's been done before this, but like in a film that's like obviously like those songs were not around and during that time. But
I thought it was cool, and I love, like I said, I loved "We Will Rock You."
Yeah.
But a lot of the others, like I thought this was gonna be like what makes it hip.
Yeah.
But some of these songs are so lame.
Yeah, like some of them were like just
taking care of business.
Some
I was
of them
like,
were like,
this is the most boomer shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was definitely like to me, like the most out of place was like War. Like, or not War, but like the Lowrider, when they're like pulling him when he's first training. I'm like, okay, so like the first one was like kind of fitting, and it started off the movie with a bang, but this is just kind of like literally the director and editor just started picking songs they liked.
Right.
Like it wasn't
totally.
like, I don't know.
And their taste is
it's lame. Questionable. Yeah. Yeah, when I heard the Lowrider is like, what is this, a George Lopez fucking show intro? Like, what are they going to start jumping on trampolines here in a second? God. He's like, So
there's a Simpsons episode when Homer saw Bachman Turner Overdrive. Like, play Taking Care of Business. And then they start playing it, and he's like, get to work in overtime. Like, that's the ultimate boomer
The
song.
part where he, like, goes up and they, like, on stage in one of the concerts that he's at, and they're, like, beating the shit out of him. And they're like, don't worry, folks. He'll get all the help he needs. And they're, like, beating him, and they're, like, filming it so the audience can see him get his ass beat. It's like... So, I guess right off the bat, we start this off on a funny... So, the guy that's, like, their essential knight that they're, like, getting all their money from, like, dies right off the bat. Like, and they just are like, well, I guess we'll just, Heath Ledger's like, I'll just take his place. So we've got the guy from Game of Thrones,
disgrace.
the Joker, and Alan Tudyk kick a dead man. So we already talked about the We Will Rock You. So I don't know if this is the first first recorded instance of attendees doing the stomp stomp clap and dancing along to We Will Rock You. And then they also do like the wave. I was like, okay, this is starting to stretch it. But
I thought I was fine with it. I thought it was kind of
But it was just kind of like goofy.
Yeah, very. I mean, that's this whole movie though. It's just kind of
it's weird,
goofy popcorn movie. I mean, it's I would
except for when it tries to get like Shakespeare, and it's like, dude, this doesn't fit at all with the rest of this film.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it's pretty light overall, which is fine.
It's weird because it doesn't really go like hard on any one subject. It's like literally a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Yeah.
So there's a good line. A lot of the best lines, in my opinion, are delivered by Alan Tudyk because he's kind of like the goofy. Well, they're all kind of goofy characters, but like he's the more comic reliefy kind of. But like Heath Ledger essentially says he's like waited his whole life for this moment, and then like he's like, you waited your whole life for Sir Elric to like die shitting his pants, and everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
There's another scene here with Alan Tudyk selling these peppermint cream cakes. These guys haven't eaten in 3 days, but yet Heath Ledger was able to get on a horse and somehow take like third or whatever prize he took, so they could get money. I was like, damn, dude. These guys, I guess they're used to not eating.
So should we talk about jousting?
Hey, now's as good a time as any to talk about jousting.
Because this movie's pretty much like Joust, the movie.
Yeah. The only thing it doesn't have is like the little like ostriches that they write on in the video game.
Oh yeah, dude. That would have been better. Have you seen the jousting at like the Ren Fair?
I've been to a Ren Fair and I've seen kind of out of the side of my eye.
You were at the Ren Fair. You're like peeking over.
Yeah, I was like, I'm working overtime. I'll work out. Yeah, I've maybe like stopped and watched a little bit, but they just kind of added jousting like
did they?
The last couple years. I mean, it's probably been longer than a couple years, but like years and years ago they didn't have it because like I think like at least the Ohio Renaissance Fair, like some new owners took over and they were like put a bunch of money into it. So
it's
like,
awesome.
They've added a bunch of shit like jousting and stuff, and it's always really legit, like from what I've seen.
Yeah, I went for the first time a few years ago, and like we watched the joust, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
like it was full joust.
Yeah,
they probably went 10 times, and like there were either near misses or like glancing blows.
Yeah,
but then the last one was a full on. The dude got knocked off his horse,
and the other guy was like, "Win."
And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it's so violent.
Yeah, this was definitely like a sport that. I mean, it was a sport for everybody back in the day, but it was like, this is definitely back when, there was padding, but it was like, you hear of like, I forget who it was, but like, one of the, that's why they wouldn't let like noble people compete that were like going to be next in line and shit, like princes, because they had that one king that was like, I'm just going to compete for fun. And then like, a thing went up in his visor and like killed him instantly. So it was like there's still like, even with like their lances being tipped, it's like you can still get fucked up.
Oh yeah. And I agree. I like the jousting in this movie. I thought there was a bit too much. Like after you see like the 25th joust, you're like, all right.
I think my problem with it, less so that there's too much, is it like they could have retooled this whole movie into like a Rocky kind of situation, which they kind of do, but like the problem is he kind of reaches his prime in like the first like major tournament, so it's kind of like all you're doing after that is watching him like
repeat
kick
the same
ass.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which
and I wish they did, but I wish they would have filmed it a little bit differently because like it's almost like you're seeing the exact same shots over and over again.
From the ground up. You see the horses go over here, and for the extra
that would have been different.
Like, I can't see anything. Like, it's just sky.
They may have been reusing the same shot from what you can tell. Because like his opponents throughout the movie are mainly like faceless.
I mean, everybody's like helmeted, so you can't tell other than their armor. So you're like you were saying, it's like there's really only one major, like there's probably two major characters in the jousting world, and it's the undercover prince, like undercover boss over here that wants to joust, but nobody will joust him because they find out that he's like a prince. And then there's the bad guy, which is essentially like one of the most dastardly bastards, you know, because he's like, I know you like that girl. I'm gonna go to her father and try to get her so I can, you know, bang her even though I don't like her. And then he's like, you know,
he's like a Disney villain,
underhanded, like untipping his lance and, you know, doing all this shit to like screw over his only competition. And it's just like, yeah, like you said, like Disney villain, but like way more like, I don't know if he's way more. There was some pretty fucked up shit that Disney villains have done. But anyway, so like, but like you said, with it being a lot of faceless guys, it's kind of like, and there was a lot of times when like the only time I knew who won the joust was by the reactions of his friends, because it would be like, they'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, well, who freaking won that one? Because like, they're both like in the same armor, so it's like, cool. I'm watching like two AI.
Yeah.
Which I understand they gotta have helmets on, but at the same time, maybe they could have done a little bit leeway with this and maybe had people be unhelmeted in this.
Or make the armor a different color or something.
Make it be transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, also, like, halfway through or like, not half, well, definitely wasn't halfway through, because, like, this movie's 2 hours long. They gave up on the sword fighting part. Which was like, he's like, I don't want to compete in sword fighting even though I'm better at that. I want to beat this one dude. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But that was actually kind of cool too. Like, that was pretty interesting. It would have been cooler if they were like, you know, to prove your worth, you got to like go through all these hoops and stuff. Because essentially, like, I guess I want to jump ahead here and kind of do a spoiler if you haven't seen this. But I guess we're talking about spoilers anyway. But he essentially gets like Deus Ex Machina saved from being like destroyed at the end of this film just by his prince friend, and he gets knighted, and it's like, not like I was like, this is what's pissing me off. It was just kind of like, it was definitely like one of those things where you watch a film and you're like, this is a movie for kids because this would not happen in real life. You know what I mean? We're like, the at the end of the movie, the millionaire shows up and he's like, I'm gonna buy the orphanage and save everybody, and you're like, dude, piss off. I like that guy though. Like, I kind of wish he was in it more than he was. Like, the prince, like, he was really cool. In
the back of my mind, I was thinking like when he took his armor off at the end, I was like, how cool would it be if he just got his head like ripped off? And that was the end of the movie.
By like a werewolf.
Oh yeah. I meant by the lance, but yeah.
He like mutant league footballs it, and they like long stretch his neck. One dude grabs his head, and the other guy grabs his body, and then he's like, it's like, what? Yeah, this movie is like, it's cool in parts because honestly, it's a lot of like, if you like sports, you'll probably like this film to a degree, but like, it's weird because they get to like one of the first cities where they really compete, and this is where he meets like the love interest of the movie. And I'm not like, you know, there doesn't need to be any love interest in a film because Rocky had Adrian, and it's like, that's completely fine. But like, the way they handle this, it puts a dead stop to the film. Like, in Rocky, that's, like, one of the things that brings any sort of joy to his life. Is, like, meeting her and, like, kind of, like, forming this, you know, romance with her and, like, kind of, like, building up his, like, boxing and, like, that stuff. Because before that, like, he was kind of, like, you could tell he was, like, well, he's this guy that collects money, but he hates doing it, and he hates, like, what he's doing in his life. But then things start to turn around for him. Whereas in this film, it's, like, he almost already has everything, and he's been kicking ass, so it's like he gets this woman, which is fine, but it kind of like, I think the reason why I say it like grinds things to a little bit of a halt is because it switches from like this buddy comedy thing to like, essentially it goes like into like Shakespearean love territory instantly.
Yeah,
which
I'll disagree slightly. I yeah. When she came in the movie and like they met and like connected, I thought that was cool. Maybe it's because I like that actress and I hadn't seen
I'd never seen her in anything before.
I'd only seen her in one other movie, the The Laws of Attraction, which is from around the same time, which is a really dark movie. But
I've heard of the film, but I've never seen it.
But I thought all that stuff was fine. What I did roll my eyes at was when she's like, "Prove your love for me by losing," and I'm like, "Come on, this is like such a sitcom."
Well, I mean, that's why I didn't like it, because it was like a lot of bullshit beating around the bush crap, and it was like this was just shoehorned in here for all like you said, like
Shannyn Sossamon,
the women to like, this is a Titanic kind of situation where like, this was just shoehorned in here to bring in the female view, or like not the female viewers, because not all females are like, I want to watch romance, but like the romantics and stuff, and it's like there's not, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but like when it comes at a detriment to like what the film started out as, I feel like it was kind of like, because there were parts where I liked her in the film. It was also like there are parts where like they have a thing where like she talks to like the guy in charge, like the priest or whatever, and she's like, why? He's like, why are you laughing? And she's like, because I laughed to stop from weeping. And then she's like, then she turns into like a 20th century person and just starts like being like, oh, you got it going on with your rings. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, why are we switching around how we're talking in the middle of this fucking movie?
Yeah. I think the women were going to this movie to see Heath Ledger.
Well, I mean, that's also
here's
true.
What Roger. I was going to say Roger Moore. Roger Ebert said.
He's like, you know what? Fuck him, baby.
The film stars Heath Ledger, said to be the next big thing on the Australian sex symbol front.
I never knew he was Australian. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, he's eye candy. And there are women to look at for the men and stuff. This is definitely like a movie where if you saw the poster and the trailers, you'd be like, dude, sweet, I can't wait to see this film, depending on what trailer you saw. And then you get into the film and you're like, I just got drugged into a fucking romantic fucking movie, damn it. But, like you said, like, I don't necessarily think that's bad. It's just, I think it's the way it was presented, kind of like the way that the jousts were shot. It was like very of that era. Like, I don't know, like, it seemed very like almost lazy to a degree, if that makes any sense. Like you said, like, I don't know. Let's see. So what do you think about them randomly meeting Geoffrey Chaucer? This reminded me of like Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Night, where they like start meeting all these like random like super famous people that they influence to go on and like like write stuff.
Who was the dude that? What does Owen Wilson say that's so funny in that movie?
Oh, and where he like goes after the guy from Game of Thrones, where he's like, "Stop right there, Rathboner."
Rathboner. I always forget that.
Rathboner. Stop right there, Rathboner. It's like, what? Why? His name's Rathbone, and he calls him Rathboner for no reason.
It was funny.
Well, it's like, I'm not even gonna get into that.
Anyways,
so like, yeah, but like in that film, they're like, oh, we influenced Charlie Chaplin, and like, Jackie Chan's original name is John Wayne. And he's like, that's a terrible name for a cowboy. And it's like, okay. But, yeah.
I like that character. I thought it was cool that he kind of was his hype man.
Yeah, no, I thought it was cool. Yeah, I just want to know what your thoughts were, because I wasn't trying to, like, shit on it. I was just saying, like, I always find that stuff kind of interesting, because it's, like, it's not really revisionist history, because it's one of those things where, like, it's just saying, like, hey, this could have happened, because it's not like they, like, changed it where, like, Geoffrey Chaucer ended up, like, killing a bunch of, like, Nazis or something. It's just... We got the Red Baron starting up his plane next door.
Red Baron.
Stop right there, Red Baron. So, like, he's totally naked. And, at first you don't know why, but until I started thinking about it now, I surmised the reason why he is naked. He says it's because he was, like, mugged. But later on in the film, you find out he has a gambling problem, and I think it's the same thing where, like, they beat the fuck out of him and take his clothes, like, everything he has. Mm. So he essentially, like, writes their, like, way into, like, Rowan, because they need a transcript. All those people, they don't even know what, like, writers are. And, like, Heath Ledger is like, well, I mean, we could use your services, because, like, if I need you to, like, fake my way to say that I'm, like, a whatever generation, and he's like, okay, I'll do that. And like, he's like, you have to shoe me, feed me, and let me ride the horse for a bit. And I was like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say shoe me, but in this film, you get to hear
shoe me.
Shoe me! There's a part where when they get into the town, it's off screen, and he says, my pleasure, William, and it's totally ADR. It's like, whenever somebody's not on screen saying something, but you hear their voice, I'm always like, that's ADR, dude. Especially when it's like so crisp and there's no like background audio, I'm like, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I already talked about the romance beginning. You desecrate the house of God. He like drives his horse or rides it. He's like, the horse is like, my mother, the horse. And yeah, what's with the modern day attitude mixed with Shakespearean crap? Heath Ledger in this reminds me of Taron Egerton. He's very like young in this film, and like it's so sad because I mean, honestly, the stuff he's done like this, because he was good in this. I'm not trying to like put him down or anything. And he was good in Brokeback Mountain, right? Yeah, he was good in that. He was good in Batman, but it's like his career was like just starting to really take off, and it's like The Crow. It's like Brandon Lee just starting to really like hit the big time. It's like, damn, dude, what the hell?
Yep.
So Chaucer gives like this big speech like before this fight, and like nobody gets it because it's got all these big words, and all the peasants are like, what the hell?
Did you notice at one of the tournaments they were selling cat's meat?
Yeah, and like ale or some shit.
I wonder if that was a real thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I mean, cats don't have much meat on them.
Well, those things didn't look like there was a lot of meat on them, but it's also like, I mean... So I'll fast forward to this another thing at the end. This concerns food because you're talking about cat's meat, but like, not that we're gonna eat cat tonight, but at the end of towards the end of this movie, when he's in these stocks, dudes are like throwing lettuce at him and vegetables, but it's not like rotten food.
I noticed that too. That was the freshest lettuce I've ever seen.
They're throwing fresh food at him, and I'm like, in the medieval times when they're eating cats, they have to get off the street because they're so hungry. People are throwing fresh lettuce at this guy.
It was so fresh. I was like, man, I wish I had some of that right now. Like, going
jump across the screen and be like,
you can't get lettuce that fresh in 2022.
Yeah, it was like ridiculous. It was almost like nuclear green. I was like, maybe that's why they didn't eat it. It was like, actually, this is a post-apocalyptic movie, and it's like Fallout style. But another montage playing taking care of business and working overtime, like we talked about earlier. Kind of bored. I have a note here. Kind of getting bored of this film at 35 minutes in to 2 hours and 12 minutes runtime. Kill me.
Yeah, it was way too long. Like, it was fairly repetitive.
Yeah,
for a lot of it.
I think I have like 10 notes essentially saying like Tudyk's doing some fucking overtime acting here. Like, he's putting way more into this than he was probably paid to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's see here. The sword fighting was pretty legit. Lancing. I fast forwarded past some of this shit. Ulrich shows no mercy, and we do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak.
Haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I know, right? I just now made that up. So what is the problem, Mr. Ledger?
Do you have a problem with that?
And he's like, oh. Dude hits Heath Ledger in the head with his lance, and he hits him so hard that he goes back in time to when he was a kid.
Yeah, that was another thing. That was weird to introduce that flashback. Like, I was thinking it would have made more sense for that flashback to start at the beginning of the movie.
I have that exact same note for later in the film where they show him being given to this other like dude as an apprentice. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, that would have been so great to start the film during that, because that was the perfect length and it was pretty emotional.
Because you don't know anything about that up until the flashback.
And then cut to modern day when they're like kicking a corpse and being like, because then it goes from that to funny. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not trying to be like I'm hot shit over here, but like, I edit I edit these and I edit other stuff, and it's like just from like an editor's point of view, like it would just make more sense to get the audience invested too, because they're watching this, and like that's really the only emotional I really got in the film is when he reunited with his dad.
Yeah.
In this film, but like how much
right after the flashback where he's introduced, and you're
like how much better would it have been for like you to have that in the back of your mind the whole time, and then like it finally happens. Like, I
bet a talented editor could re-edit this thing, cut it down to like 80 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Awesome. Cut out like one or two of the Lansing like tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, because some of those nothing happens.
Right.
So it's like, because there's even like a part later on in the film where like the bad guy is like on the field of battle, and he's like, they have the tournament results, and he's like. He wins again. Ulrich wins again. Ulrich. And it's like that. You could just show that alongside like a quick montage of him winning the tournaments while he's doing that, and then like show him holding up the trophy, and then him stabbing the thing like he does in the film. And it's like that would have been way better than like, like this was literally just like, hey, this is like my grandpa's fucking soundtrack show off the movie. Like
although
piss off.
I said that some of the songs were lame. I really did like the Golden Years.
No, I mean there was a lot of good. There was a lot of good songs. There were some good songs in this. It was just some of them were definitely thrown in.
Yeah, and that scene was cool because they're having like a dance or whatever.
Yeah,
and they started doing like more modern.
Oh, for sure.
Dance.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was cool, but I was also like, why? Like,
yeah, no, that's kind of like the same thing. Like I thought, like at the beginning of the film where they started doing the wave, it was like. It was cool, but at the same time, I was like,
what's the point of
why? Like, just to show that, like...
A boomer wanted to see it.
The funny thing is, too, at the beginning of the film, when they're playing We Will Rock You, and it's, like, playing, like, the ending part where it's, like... Like,
oh, yeah,
one of the dudes is, like, holding the thing like he's playing it, and then when the song ends, he puts it down, and I'm like... What?
He was playing the guitar.
Yeah! He's like... And everyone's just like... Yeah! But yeah, that same note, went to a dance, it starts off regular, and then it transforms into, like, a disco rock dance thing.
It was cool.
And it's like the guy, like, he couldn't dance, and then as soon as she went out there, they all started doing the same choreographed dance, and then he started doing, like, I don't know what the hell they were. They were, like, whirling dervish, like, side flips.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is cool, but like you said, it's like, what? Like, why? It's like a flash mob.
Yeah.
So here's another thing where this lady that becomes their like friend and like blacksmith that has, for whatever reason, green tinted hair at the end of her hair, puts upside down Nike swishes on Heath Ledger's armor.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it was another, and it was never like mentioned, like she wasn't like, this is my family crest of Nikki or something. It was like, she was like, oh, if other like knights see this, they might want to get some business from me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was cool
interesting.
It was more subtle. Like,
yeah.
This movie's not subtle at all, but that was a nice little subtle touch.
It was just I was like, what the fuck is this? God, this doesn't even deserve talking about.
Well, skip it.
I just did. But we just talked about it more than I would have if I would have said anything.
I had one legit laugh out loud moment in this movie.
You were like, laugh out loud!
I am going to LOL right now.
You were like, oh my god!
It's when they were trying to craft like his love note. and they're like, no, you need to look above her chest.
Yeah.
And he's like, I miss her throat?
Yeah! I was like, what?
I was cracking up.
I actually kind of fast forward past that.
It was good.
Anytime it was like anything to do with like romance shit, I was like, next. One of the combatants, the Lancers, is a prince, and everyone's withdrawing to not face him, and he's disappointed. But essentially, like Heath Ledger, like is like, I know who you are, and like I already faced you before, so they do a draw essentially, and it was pretty cool, like because it showcases his like friendship with this guy that like is essentially everybody's afraid of because he's gonna be the next king. They're like, if we piss him off and he becomes king, he could like be vengeful and kill me. And it's like, I'm pretty sure like if any of the people cared enough to like see him in action. Like this guy's like the nicest guy in this movie because like he's so like nice to everybody. You never see him be really mean. So like for these people, like the peasants weren't even looking at him. Like they're like, oh, this guy's probably just since he's a king, he's an asshole. But he's not. Randomly, Heath. I don't know if I missed something here, but I feel like I have this note that says randomly Heath Ledger gets pissed at the girl he likes and says, "You're nothing but a silly girl with a flower," and she says, "Better than a silly boy with a horse and a stick." Did I miss something? Like, why was he pissed at her? I feel like there were times in this film when his character just got he became an idiot.
It's
like,
because she was forcing him to lose.
Oh, okay.
Which that whole subplot was like very sitcom-y. And also when his crew makes a bet on him without telling him, it's like, it's like if the characters communicated like real life people, none of this would have happened. But
it also doesn't make any sense because they've communicated throughout the entire film.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know. Poetry scene, I didn't watch that. I think you talked about it though. Alan Tudyk delivers the message by kissing Heath Ledger. That was pretty funny.
And he's like, hell yeah!
Yeah! I was like... montage, guy's helmet goes flying to the crowd like a baseball as the song plays. Love scene. This is the thing where... Yeah!
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town! Alan Tudyk's like, come on, London, put your hands up for us. And it's like, who the fuck are you?
Were you hoping the Expendables were going to ride in at that point? Don't answer that question.
I think my face said it all. Another flashback with a young Heath Ledger being taken as an apprentice, which we talked about, should have been at the start of the film. Weird storytelling. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Thumbs up for the kid on the stocks. Like, he gives a thumbs up, and I was just like, okay. The reunion of Will and his father was the biggest emotional thing in this film for me.
Yep.
Because he's like blind too now.
Right, but then like he's dead because he's like, you're gonna meet all my friends. Like you're gonna love them. Everything's gonna be great from here on out. And like, nope.
Yeah. Black Knight Damar is a devious, horrible jerk. Will won't run is the stupidest character decision I've ever seen. Like, all of his friends and, like, even the person he loves is like, hey, you should just, like, run and then you can, like, we'll figure it out later. And instead he's like, I will be arrested. And I was like, there's still 20 minutes in this film. This line was actually, I don't know why I thought this was funny. I'm here to compete. You are here to be arrested. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why would he show up to essentially... I mean, like, he did show up to be arrested, but, like, why would somebody be like, I'm not actually here to compete. I'm actually here to be arrested. It's like, okay.
Arrest me, please.
He's in the fucking stocks, baby. So this is when he's, like, the passion of the Heath is happening.
Yep.
Like you said, like...
The Christ imagery.
Yeah, the Christ imagery when Jesus was put in a medieval cell
and thrown with fresh lettuce thrown at his face. He's
put in a Punjabi prison match. Kid runs up and slaps him in the head, Three Stooges style.
That was hilarious.
But it was like the weakest slap ever. It was like, don't want to hurt the talent. But it was like the same kid that had like gave him thumbs up earlier because essentially there's like one kid in this film. Or there's two. There's young Will and there's this guy.
That slap crack.
It's like, oh, the sound is too low? What?
Turn it up.
Sounds fine.
Turn it up.
Sounds good. I can always fix this in post too. I think it's fine. I mean, it sounds okay. I don't think the mic can go any... Yeah, the mic can't go any higher than that, so... Anyway, I always end up turning the volume up in post, like when I put it on YouTube, because I think it's because it's farther away from both of us, but it's the best way to have it, like, in the middle of both of us.
Well, let's do it. Everyone turn your headphones up.
Don't.
Listen! Can you hear me? Loud enough for you?
That's sexual.
That was me at a 5. You don't want to see me go to a 10.
I think we do, actually, now. Now that you put that out there.
I can't.
Yeah, I was like, you fucked up your voice, son. You're going to go into work on Monday and be like... I'm like, did it move again? You're like, yeah. So, people throwing, like we said, completely fine and ripe vegetables, aren't they supposed to be like old and moldy? Especially from medieval times, it seems especially stupid to be throwing perfectly good food at someone in the stocks. Yeah. So Colville frees him and names him a knight.
Even when you threw those tomatoes around your garage, they were at least rotten.
Oh yeah, which was stupid. But...
That's a buddy tale for another day.
Alan Tudyk, best, almost always the best. This guy's like a Gary Oldman. Like, he goes out of his way to like make the best of a bad situation. Black Knight is cheating and using a fake tip that shatters easily. It's 2-0. Not looking good. So what'd you think about the no armor, no helmet at the end?
I was just thinking it would be funny to see the lance like go right through his face. And
yeah. Well, I was thinking, like, dude, this is, like, literally the only way that, like, at that point he said that, like, he could win is if, like, he knocks him off his horse or kills him.
Yeah.
And, like, they were going to kill the other guy.
Yep.
But, like, there were a lot of times in this film when I was kind of like, that's kind of fucked up. Because, like, what would happen is, like, there was a part where, like, he would knock somebody off a horse, and then he got, like, dragged away by the horse, and they were like, see you later, loser. And I was like, that guy could be dead.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
He's horribly injured.
Like, what a bunch of assholes. But, like, he goes, like, this is the moment of his, like, redemption, and you see, like, this is, like, when Iron Man took his helmet off for no reason in the Avengers, like, just to do the big pose thing where he's, like...
So he can do the Braveheart, freedom!
Yeah, he's got, like, you can see, because of the actor can have his face be seen.
Yeah.
So, like, oh, my helmet... I can't wear this helmet or armor because the armor, I can't breathe in it. So he literally goes up with just like his undergarments on and just knocks the other guy the hell off his horse.
Why does he yell William?
I don't know. Like, he gets like a triple remaster whenever the dude falls off his horse. He like falls off once, and then they show it again, and then they show it again. And I was like, dude, that wasn't like a spectacular knockoff. It was just...
It was like all the others we've seen.
Yeah. Reminded me of back in the day when, like... Remember when, like, we would make, like, movies, like, on, like, VHS tapes and stuff, and, like, our one friend, like, would take one shot and just play it 3 times in a row. We're like, why did you do that? That didn't... It was like that. It was like, eh. Papa cries, so his dad cries. Not, like, Papa Roach. At the end of the day... It's a pretty good film here.
Cut this dad into...
Shit. I gotta check him
in 2 pieces.
Yeah, it's just marred by unneeded romance, and it didn't need to be, like, this long. Essentially, could have been way shorter. Somebody that comes from nothing to be champion, but they had to, like, mess with it, and, like, too long. Like, it's not, like, shit. It's just, like, this is, like, a, like... If an editor has nothing, like, he gets paid, but he doesn't do anything. Like, all they do is say, put this music in the film. Like, because there's no way in hell that he fucking edited this damn thing, because it's like everything they filmed is in the movie. There's like...
He did whatever the hell.
We're going to do whatever the hell we want.
I think we're on the same page about this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. It's like a fine popcorn movie. It's just,
It's so fine, it's almost just like,
It's light entertainment.
Yeah. The entertainment was light.
You were right about one thing.
The movie was not short.
Way too long.
Yeah. It's just too long, like an anaconda.
Are we going to talk about the post-credit scene?
Was there one?
I can't believe you missed it.
I just stopped watching.
Dude.
What's up?
There's a post-credit scene
where, like, Samuel Jackson comes out and he's just like, I want you for the Avengers.
To you about the horsemen.
The horsemen.
The Joust Ventures. No, it's like, his crew taking turns ripping ones.
Ripping ones?
Yeah.
They're ripping ones. Really? So it's just like an outtake.
No, it's like they each rip one in turn, and whoever like rips the smallest one has to buy the next round of ales.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's it?
That's totally necessary in this movie. You're going to have to go watch it again.
I'm sure the people that were in the theater, especially all the women, were like, hell yeah. Like, this is what I love. I'm assuming it wasn't like Heath Ledger, wasn't there?
No, it was his crew. It was like
like
the three guys in the armor, and she's the one who ended up having to pay.
That's even more of a fuck up because they should have done it where like she had the biggest one. Like, it's like this movie fucks up everything.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, they actually put that in the movie?
Yeah.
Why?
This was like during the time when like they would put like movies like Rush Hour would have like the credits would just be like all the fuck ups and like,
well, that's a Jackie Chan signature.
But like that's also something that was like it was all the fucked up stunts or the times when he almost died or like outtakes with like Chris Tucker being hilarious. Like that's completely fine.
I wish
for
every
credits.
movie had that.
Yeah, but like something like that. It's like, why the fuck did you even film this?
Much less put it in the movie.
Yeah. I don't know. What would you rate this? I actually kind of forgot to rate it until just now.
I'm going to go 5.95. Middle of the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd have to give it either that or 4. I don't know. It's not that bad. It's just, I don't know. It's just like you said, like to me, like I'll never watch this again. But like, I mean, you didn't say that, but I'm saying for me, I'll never watch this again. Not because I don't like it, but I like. I'm somebody that like if something has to be extraordinary for me to watch it again, and this just wasn't. It was like you said, middle of the road. You know, it's just, it's what it is. So yeah,
it's no chud.
Yeah, that was actually before we started rating films, right? Maybe we'll have to go back and do an episode where we give ratings to our old films that we watched. And say, fuck you!
This movie's better than Chud.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe that should be the ratings. Is it better or worse than Chud? Then every movie would be better than Chud.
Yeah, that would be... Will we give up on our 9.95? Our established franchise? Something we don't own? Great.
Yeah.
Build it. Oh, that's true. I wonder how much it would be to buy the license.
They'd probably pay you. Spunkadelic.
I should look into that and see how much it would
see if they're on Twitter.
I'm like spunkadelic.com and I'm like, oh god, why did I type that in? So next week is Mike week. Are you excited for this?
I've been waiting.
Have you?
What do you got?
Okay, so next week we're going to be doing for Weird Watches. I'm going to kind of break tradition too because you ended up doing it I think like with James Bond Jr. But I've actually seen this before. But I said I don't give a frig. This is our podcast. We can do over that. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. And Gunsmith Cats is gonna be the first episode. I think you'll like this. It is an animated an anime from back in the day, but it's like all action. They only made 3 episodes of it, but it was like really, really cool from what I remember. Hopefully I'll watch it again and be like, this sucks. And then our feature presentation. So I had some ideas for what I wanted to do, but I'm not exactly sure if we've done this one before or not. But have we done like Lupin the Castle of Cagliostro before, like as an actual episode? I know we've talked about it recommendation, but so I guess that'll be our next one. I was going to do a different one, but the only issue is like one of the ones I wanted to watch is like harder than shit to find. Like it's like King Kong Lives kind of thing where it's like it's out of print. Like you could find it online, but like the only thing that's online is like the horrible dub version. Like back when Lupin the Third, like you couldn't use the word Lupin because it was under the trademark of like LeBlanc's estate, so like they had to call him like the Wolf or like Rupin, and like the the English dub is like the shits. Like I don't know, like yeah. Okay. So we will watch those, and I think this is our first.
I forgot
animated one. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Roger Ebert's review of
Knight's Tale.
Here's what he said at the end.
Kill me!
The movie, and this may explain why he liked it. The movie has an innocence and charm that grow on you. It's a reminder of the days before films got so cynical and unrelentingly violent. A Knight's Tale is whimsical, silly, and romantic, and seeing it after The Mummy returns is like taking Tums after eating the mummy.
Who the fuck would eat a mummy?
But I mean...
What do you think about The Mummy? Because that movie was the shit.
The Mummy Returns sucked. So, like, seeing anything after Mummy Returns would be great.
What? That's bullshit. The Mummy Returns was awesome.
What?
Yeah.
The sequel?
Yeah.
Oh, I hated it.
Well, you're wrong.
I may be. I only saw it when it came out, but I remember hating it.
Brendan Fraser's in it. It can't be bad.
That's true.
Because anything he's been in has never been bad. Remember that time I drugged you to see George of the Jungle? That movie wasn't bad, I thought.
It was entertaining.
At least I don't remember it being bad. Maybe that'll be another one for another time, is to watch The Mummy 2, and maybe I'll change my words, or maybe you will. But yeah, that's yeah, I don't know. I guess it also depends on like how much you like The Mummy, or how much you like Brendan Fraser. Maybe he's like a Brendan Fraser hater. So, do you have anything else to say about either The Mummy Returns or Ark 3? But not A Knight's Tale.
Yep, another
perfect podcast.
Another perfect episode
so next week, Gunsmith Cats and Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro, the first all animated podcast.
Cool.
Well, for us, obviously not. No one's ever talked about anime. So hopefully, I tried to pick ones that weren't like too out there. Like I wanted to get ones that were like action based, because I don't know if we went too out of control. Also, I remember them being good, so
awesome.
Hopefully, it won't suck. So
sounds good.
Matt loves Mummy Returns and hates Tusk. So go ahead, I'll give you the last word.
Bye.